Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of What Do You Call It podcast. I'm your host, GB. No, I'm not on holiday because the shirt. It's just bloody hot at the moment. My guest, he's in the same country as me, so he can 100% back me up on this. We're literally the highest at the moment in terms of temperature, and it's awful. It's it's too hot to even go out. But I shouldn't moan because I should appreciate it. But I'm actually moaning now, but it is what it is. Today's guest is the loudest man in British wrestling. Hopefully he can prove that on the podcast, and we'll find out why he is the loudest man. Be good. Please give up for today's guest, JPR. I know you're a busy man, and we are obviously getting the time and the schedule, but I appreciate you coming on. So much appreciated.
Appreciate the invite.
Been wanting to have you on for a while, so I'm glad to have you on here now. Before I chat about your wrestling career, I actually want to talk to you about your theme song. Before I talk about your theme song, I want to know how you doing this week. How you been?
Well, I've had better days. A bit of a secret. One of the reasons why I've been a bit more quiet recently on social media. I fractured my ankle at the start of the month. But obviously, these things do happen in professional wrestling. It's not ballet, far from what people, perceive wrestling to be, wherever it's, fake. It's not fake as such. We all know that. And injuries do happen. So, but, I'm on the rise. I'm walking a bit. I'm walking up and down the stairs. And, I should be out of the cast by the end of the month, which is quite good timing once again, because that's when I've got one of the biggest events of my career. I don't know what I'm doing for it yet. Nothing set in stone, but at the end of the day, it's nice to have stuff to look forward to, whether it be holidays or time away from work or enjoying your life. So for the life of me, I didn't think I was going to be in a cast for any amount of my wrestling career, but the end is near, so to speak. So I'm looking forward to that, and obviously getting back in the ring. So on a grand scale of 1 to 10, I'd say about a 6 or a 7.
I like that you see you're positive about it, though, man. That's cool, though. A lot of people are like, "Oh, that's it. It's the end. I'm just gonna bitch and moan about it." You're like, "Okay, look, I've done this, but I'm gonna be at the cast and really on the show because I think you advertised it."
It's me in a nutshell. You know what I mean?
No, I like that mentality.
So you got to be positive in life, because at the end of the day, you got to look after yourself. I mean, it's difficult at times, especially in this current climate where everything's rising, whether it be the temperatures, as you mentioned at the start of the show. We're both sweating our what's off. Do you know what I mean? And talk about things like fuel prices and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, we're alive. Yeah. We're here. Present. We have to make the most out of the shots that we're given, so to speak. So in regards to that, 99 times out of 100, I'm the most positive one in my household. Someone's got to be. But in all seriousness, it's it brings you back a touch, especially when something like an injury like this happens. One of your limbs gets taken away momentarily. You start to appreciate, things like walking, for example. My son was, he had his sports days, 6 years old. The school's only literally around the corner, but it took a 40-minute round trip to get there and back, because obviously I'm on crutches and that. And it makes you think, for whatever reason, there's people out there that have to live this type of lifestyle all the time, and you just got to appreciate what you've been given, whether it be if you're able-bodied or whatever. It's mad. So my motto is now just appreciate what I've been given, and what I can do for other people as well as myself, and be positive in the same instinct as well, if that makes sense.
No, it absolutely does, mate. Bless you. I mean, I think when we had I mean, COVID's still around, but when it was like the pandemic, like as a wrestler, obviously that must have made you frustrated, not be able to do what you wanted to do. And when you say about appreciating walking, I can 100% back you up on that. I broke my ankle in the pandemic by tripping over a bottle of water. I was sober during the day, just walking, not really looking around, tripped over a bottle of water, went to hospital, and you broke your ankle. I was like, aha, whatever. I don't know, really. And then since then, I go for walks now because I genuinely appreciate, like, oh, wow, it's actually, little things like that.
It is mad because obviously, I've got 3 kids. My youngest is nine months old. Like in the first week, 10 days, I couldn't pick her up independently. I had to be handed, my own daughter, and it's little things like that make me, rather than, the bigger picture where, 6 to 12 months down the line, X, Y, and Z can happen to you, or you get promised X, you get promised a promotion at work or whatever. But the little day-to-day things, such as, picking up my daughter, taking my son up to bed, it's mad because, the first few days, I can walk up and down the stairs now quite freely.
But when it first happened,
you can obviously resonate with it as well. It was crazy. I still took him to bed every night, but the pain and the anguish that I had doing that, it's like, right, now I can once again appreciate doing things like that rather than just taking it for granted, because at the end of the day, you learn to appreciate things more when things happen to you, unfortunately, rather than looking at it from the outset where you appreciate it from day one, if that makes sense. So, I'm good.
Nah, that's good, man. That's a different start to the podcast, but I like that, man. Like, we just sort of just open up like that, a bit heartfelt, and obviously just, I think sort of the moral of that was just basically I appreciate what you got, sort of little things like that. But that is awesome. I will go back to the theme song. That obviously it's Rebound X, Rhythm and Gash, instrumental. I mean, it's a classic. Those, especially like Love Grime, people like Skepta, Jamie, Deputy, they've used it in songs themselves. It's pretty iconic now. I want to ask for you to use that as a theme song. So, or was there a specific meaning? Is it just because you like the song? Tell me. So give me the inspiration.
It's mad. This one's a good one. Obviously, you got to be careful, especially when you're on platforms such as YouTube, where your theme song has to be copyright free. So originally I had my own theme song, custom made. It cost me a bit of money, but it didn't, in my eyes, it didn't resonate as much with me as the song like Rhythm and Gash, or if I use something like Private Caller, or if I use another song by another grime artist. Because when I'm 35 years old next month, I grew up listening to garage and grime. So whenever I hear songs like Rhythm and Gash, whether I hear songs like, Pow, like the original Pow, I Love You by Dizzy Rascal, and, songs of the same.
Keep listening, don't stop, man. This is like bringing back my childhood. I'm not too far from your age.
Like Eskimo North London by Wiley. You move on a bit, you got like Coward by Chip. But the thing is, with all of the songs that I've named, apart from one, they're all stuck to a record label. They're not copyright free. So I delved around and I asked a couple of people, and obviously I saw a documentary that you can watch freely on YouTube. It's only about 12 minutes long. It's about Rhythm and Gash and how nobody owns it. And when I was a DJ as well. I used to DJ dubstep in Tottenham, in London. I've done Opera House. I've done gigs in Acton, in West London, and things like that. So obviously, like when that resonates with that part of my life as well. So anyway, fast forward to I'm watching this documentary, and they're saying, it's what's called in the music industry as a bit of an Angela, because nobody knows who sung it, who done it, and nobody owns it, type of thing. So that twigged in my head. I thought to myself, wait, hang on a minute. Nobody owns this track. That means it's copyright free. Hence why people like Skepta, Jamie, Temper T,
Yeah.
Jammer, you name it, they've all jumped on Rhythm and Gash. The reason why is because you don't have to have permission
I
to
mean, like,
to
you're
own
hearing
it.
the
That's
nightclub
one.
still, like in 2022. Like they'll play it
Yeah,
just the instrumental, just its own. And
yeah,
these young people, they'll like do that, and they don't necessarily know who it
yeah,
is. That's
yeah.
how captivating it still is.
That's the thing, because it's the, in my eyes, it's the most iconic grime instrumental there is. The
Mm.
reason why is everybody and their grandma's done a 16 on it. So when people hear that, it's like when people hear Rhythm and Gash, it's even the same thing happens backstage.
Yeah.
People backstage and people in the audience instantly twig and think, "Oh yeah, I know this song. I can resonate to that song." But I didn't pick it for people. I picked it for myself, because at the end of the day, like when you hear it, and when you hear the drop,
Yeah.
that drop, one of the things that gets me fizzy, so to speak. It gives me good vibes. So when I hear it, I can instantly come out to the ring with this energy that the song has, because there's no way on God's green earth I'll ever get tired of hearing Rhythm and Gash. It's iconic to me. It's iconic to RP.
Yeah.
It's not just iconic to RP. It's iconic to people that have the same, the same beliefs, the same musical tastes as us. So at the end of the day, that's why I picked it. It's a lot of people walk out to, like rock songs and X, Y,
Yeah.
and Z, and like good for them. In my opinion, that's fine. If that's your flow, that's what makes you fizzy. By all means, go for it. But for me, it's I can't walk out to that type of music. That's not to say I dislike that type of music. Don't get me wrong. I'm a huge fan of people like Saliva, the Manic Street Preachers, X, Y, and Z.
Max
I mean,
Life's awesome. Always.
You know what I mean? Like, so I can go on and on in regards to like music, because that was and still is like a huge aspect of my life. But at the end of the day, I need something that captivates me and that I can relate to with, I dare say, my people. That doesn't just mean the same people of the same color as me, but the same, that have the same beliefs, have the same morals, grew up in a certain way, without singling out just one color, because there's a lot of people that grew up in underprivileged estates and council houses and other demographics like that I feel aren't really represented in wrestling, let alone British wrestling, in wrestling in general. So when I wrestle, it's a bit more than just I'm doing this for my own personal thing. But yeah, that's it in a nutshell in regards to the theme song.
I had to ask you, man. I don't think I've ever spoken about grime on this podcast. It's been 100+ episodes. For me to speak about grime, and like honestly, mate, I'll send you photos after this. I've met Jamie and Skepta, like love them, and I'll still casually listen to them, mate. I love them. Like
they grew up on the same estate where I'm from, Tottenham, originally Tottenham, North London. The skate park that you hear about JME and Skepta talk about in their early songs, especially. You pass the 217. This is no joke. You catch it from Turnpike Lane. And it's on the way to Edmonton County Schools, just on the opposite. That's the skate park that they always used to go to. Those people, and it's not me, it's not me making stuff up. Those people resonate with me. I know people who know them.
Yeah,
I don't know them directly, but I know people who know them, if that makes sense, and grew up with them. That's the type of vibe that I genuinely grew up with, if that makes sense.
I get you, man. I get you. That's a banger song. If anyone wants to pause this podcast and go on YouTube, Rebound X, Rhythm and Gash, instrumental, you can find other versions of it as well, but the original one should come off the first style. Honestly, instantly, it will Honestly, you will literally be in, like, want to play it again and again and again.
Very,
There
very
should,
catchy.
I might do an hour loop of it and upload it on my own YouTube account and just get some views, mate, because it's so good. But no, thank you for saying that story. I'm so happy I actually got to
Much
speak
fun.
about that song and speak about Grime and hear about your growing up as well. That's awesome. I think there has been an improvement to, you know, to representation, you know, of more like basically of black people in wrestling. You know, I've seen, I know you're associated with Roy Johnson. Roy better know, and I see like what he's doing as well, and like I love it. Like if I went to go shows like 10+ years ago, didn't see anyone of of anyone color. I didn't even see women's wrestling to begin with, but you know, lack of representation. And in 2022, that is improving a lot, in my opinion. I don't know.
In regards to, like, you know, representation, obviously
Mm-hmm.
there has been pioneers and there has been people that are pushing it. You've mentioned Roy Johnson.
Yeah.
He won't mind me saying this, but I knew Roy before he was a wrestler. This is going to be a story for you. We first met in Miami, WrestleMania 28. Literally, my mate sold him and his cousin and mate a ticket to Raw. The one where Brock Lesnar came back.
Nice. Iconic. That was iconic, mate.
Literally, first time I met him was over there. And since then, we've just been like really tight. We went to WrestleMania 30 together, 29 as well. WrestleMania 29 we went to as well. So that but he won't mind me saying this, that when, you know, people are achieving things of wrestling or people of color, he's definitely one of the pinnacles of the list from British wrestling. You've got people like him, Rampage Brown. You've got Big T Justice, who's finally starting to win singles titles in the United Kingdom, and the list just goes on and on. You've got man like the Reef. You know, you've got so many people that now promoters can book. I'm not going to put myself on that same pedestal as those people, because at the end of the day, those people, one, have been doing it a lot longer than, you know, I have. At first, I took wrestling as a hobby. I kind of still do. I'm not afraid to say that in public, because, you know, I've got a day job, I've got 3 kids, and I'm nearly 35 years old. But at the end of the day, the people that I've mentioned, as well as so many more people in British wrestling that are persons of colour. You know, I don't just have to mention, you know, black wrestlers. You got people like RJ Singh. You see these people.
Love RJ Singh, by the way. I've had him on the show. Great guy. Great guy.
All of these guys, and a hell of a lot more. If I named all of the people that, you know, I can name, there's people like Stealth that wrestle, you know, down south, me and Kettering. All these people, you know, that gives the promoters an opportunity to at least, you know, pick people if they want to. So, you know, it is improving. It will improve. I'm not just focusing on black people. I'm focusing on, you know, people of color in general. And it's weird because, you know, as you said, when you first started watching wrestling, British wrestling in particular, the cards were white. But now, for people like my son, you know, persons like yourself, you can say, maybe I can relate to that person a little bit more than person X from a few years ago. So the options are there, and, you know, hopefully, you know, the more people see different colours and creeds, different protected characteristics as well. You mentioned more females in British wrestling. That needs to happen a lot more.
Yeah, no, I agree. I've spoken to a few people about that. I think it is improving, and there are even all female wrestling promotions like Eve. But I just, you know, I think sometimes one woman on a 10-match card should be better, in my opinion. But you know,
absolutely. But we'll get there in British wrestling. It's a slow and evolving process, and we got to listen to people, and find out what they want, and, you know, away from what a promoter might want in their respective show. If a promoter's, you know, got one idea, but the fans got another idea, what's putting bums in seats? at the end of the day, we've got to figure that
finding in between in a way as well. Because I mean, a lot of no, I get it, man. I mean, I want to go back to what you said about going to WrestleMania as well. I think that's pretty cool. The fact when I hear wrestlers, they were fans before they became wrestlers. You know, when is it that you actually became a wrestling fan? Like, what was your first wrestling related memory?
Oh gosh, you're bringing me back to 1991.
Sorry, my man.
Well, 1991, obviously, I think that was the program. Yeah, it's mad. 4 years old, it's mad. I was 4 years old. I think WCW was on ITV, I think, before Airwolf. So I think you had WCW Saturday night, and then you had Airwolf, and then you had...
There's going to be a lot of people Googling Airwolf right now.
Mate, I'm not afraid to say that I'm old. So, you know, at the end of the day, that was my earliest memory. I think fast forwarding a bit, 1997, 1998, I discovered things like trading. So I watched a bit of ECW. WCW then came back onto Channel 5. I persuaded my mum to get a Sky after the Royal Rumble 2000. Which was shown on Channel 4.
Yeah,
I think
when they're coming up Mae Young's, you know.
Yeah, you know what, and all of that madness. So, you know, at the end of the day, I was like, no, I've got to get Sky. Like, I'm missing out on a bag right here. So, obviously, all of my friends had Sky. So it's almost like picture because, you know, you went to school on a Monday and people were like, oh, did you watch Raw? Mm-hmm. Did you watch SmackDown? And I'm just smiling like, you know, some form of like poor idiot, thinking, no, I didn't watch that still. But I saw the football. What football did you say? Oh, Match the Day. No, that's not good enough, mate. You need Sky. Eventually, I got Sky. I managed to persuade my mom to get Sky. And then obviously the kind of like catapult took off because, you know, I could then join in the conversation with, oh, did you watch Raw? Yeah, I did watch Raw. Did you watch SmackDown? Yeah. Did
you see The Rock had a SmackDown? You see Kane chokeslam him? Like, man, this is quite similar to my childhood as well, man. This is awesome.
The thing is, a lot of people that I speak to, we resonate in the same way because when I grew up, it was when a lot of people, we might be having like a couple of years difference, but like even when you're like practicing moves in the playground, like things like you find out that things like sharpshooters and Boston crabs done right hurt, and you're like, oh, I'm starting to cry, get off me type of thing, but obviously in a lot less polite way. And you all of a sudden find out that DDT done right can, you know, get yourself into the head teacher's office and things like that. So it was all, you know, it's crazy time, and it brought us all together as boys as well, because, you know, at the end of the day, I've got a few mates coming on the 30th of July that I grew up with, and that, you know, I put people in sharpshooters that are coming to watch me on the 30th. So
that's sick, man. So it's all like full circles coming. Yeah.
Circle, you know what I mean? You know, wrestling brings people that I you know, if I pass people in the street, I'd have no rhyme or reason to speak to these people. Mm-hmm. But wrestling brings people together that usually, you know, would have no way of speaking or knowing.
If we didn't like wrestling, we'd have nothing else to talk about, and why would we communicate or something? But it's like when you go wrestling shows, I'll not mention Twitter because there is, like, I think Twitter can be quite toxic. But if you go to shows or in public, someone's wearing a wrestling top, you're wearing a wrestling top. It's like, oh, yeah, man, yeah. Instant best friends.
I'll tell you a story. I went to Lapland, UK with my children last year, and I wore Bullet Club Christmas jumper, and I didn't expect it. It was actually a member of staff that came up to me, and he looked really, really glum doing his actual job, and I think he got released for his lunch. And in passing, he passed by me, and he was like, "Yeah, man, Bullet Club for life." And he done like the gun finger.
Yeah. Huh? Just get my P45, but too sweet.
It was, and I wasn't expecting it. Obviously, you expect it somewhat from general members of the public, but when somebody from like Lapland, UK, like one watches wrestling and two completely breaks work mode to say a Bullet Club full of oh okay, I see you.
Did you too sweet him? Like, did you too sweet him?
Yeah, I did. I did. He reached out and I done it back, and I was like, oh my god, like, what just happened there? Obviously, my partner was smiling at me, like, because she was the one that bought the jumper in the first place a couple of winters ago.
Oh, man, it even makes it even better. I bet she's like, proud moment, like, just.
And we're talking about full circle. That was full circle.
That's
right
quality.
There. So it was an experience. I tell you that for nothing. But no, in regard going back to what I was saying before, that that even people that I train with, that I wrestle with on shows in my own promotion of UKW, it's like heart of hearts. I would probably never interact with any of that roster if it wasn't for pro wrestling, because one, they live an hour away from me. Two, if I saw them on the street, unless they're wearing a wrestling t-shirt, you know, it's just another member of the public type of thing. You know, as I said, wrestling brings a lot of people together that otherwise
wouldn't really have.
Absolutely.
No, I 100%. I think a lot of listeners will. Like, we're a special breed, aren't we? Like, it's just fans and even the talent. Just, you know, is when you explain to someone that thinks it's fake or it's whatever they want to describe wrestling when they don't like it, but like, we will defend it till the day we die. It's just who we are.
We're die hard, and at the end of the day, I'm not just because I wrestle. I don't shy away from being a fan. There's a lot of wrestlers out there that will not tweet or comment about things like wrestling wise. Let's say they see something like a kid on AEW or something like that. They won't retweet it. They may like it on the social media, but they won't retweet it. But I'm not shy to show my support, one, to our wrestlers, not just wrestlers that I know, but wrestlers that I don't, and two, obviously show appreciation to, you know, the big boys that are doing it as such. That doesn't go as far for me to say that I'll criticize any wrestler publicly on social media, because that's something that that no wrestler should do, if that makes sense. So I wouldn't go to that extent where I publicly criticize somebody unless I'm having, like, you know, a Twitter film or whatever. But at the end of the day, I'm not afraid to show my face at places like, you know, like Hooked On events and Walkabout and stuff.
Oh, like Matt, you're going to the SummerSlam event, by the way, the Hooked On one.
I need to get out more.
Because I think I'm actually going to that one next month.
Right. Okay. Is that in London?
Yeah, Box Park, Wembley.
Okay, cool. So, you know, at the end of the day, if I can, because I need to see my parents more anyway. What date is SummerSlam?
22nd. So basically they're showing SummerSlam 92 and 30th anniversary.
Okay.
So they're showing it there in Box Park, which I think is awesome because it's normally associated with like boxing and football, but they actually tied it out. I don't know who's going to be the guest. I don't really care, but I think I'm going with one of my mates anyway, Fad. And it's the 22nd, Monday, 7 or 6 p.m, I believe.
Okay, so it's, you know, it's a nice time of the day. And I know I'm at Field Day. I'm at Field Day Festival on the 20th. I'm in London anyway that weekend. So what I'll probably do is I'll ask work politely to get the 22nd off, and then that should work out. So I'll probably see you there. To be quite honest, just keep it
sick.
And
we'll
get it sorted.
Hooked On events. I'll take my check after this interview. No, that's cool, man. I'm gonna. I will actually tag them now and SummerSlam event. So I've got one more question for you. It's about where you are in wrestling right now. UKW wrestling. So it's what I've been watching in terms of research for you, and I'm actually quite impressed, to be honest, with the presentation. You know, your entrance, how you carry yourself, the air horn you had for your entrance, with the song as well. But I want to know, that song's still in my head, by the way. I've been talking to him, I'm just stop singing it in my mind. But is this the place?
You'll never get out of your head. That's the worst.
If I can't find a documentary, you got to send to me. But so I'm going off topic. But is this the place?
Stay after the call, I'll send it to you.
Is this the place
No,
that
of
you would
course.
call your wrestling home?
Yeah, most definitely, 110%. In regards to, I wrestle for other promotions as well. I wrestle at the moment for Blackheart Wrestling, IWU, which is down in Kettering. So I wrestled there against Paul Malin, or at one point was one of the best wrestlers in the United Kingdom. Still is a really, really good wrestler. So I wrestled for IWU and Blackheart. There's Non-Stop Action Wrestling, which is in Mexborough, which is just started, but they've got big plans. So in regards to them, those are like my four. But in regards to UKW, what it is that they've got a showdown program every Friday. So you watch it every Friday, and then there's a big pay-per-view at the end of the month. It's a really forward approach from UKW to have like weekly shows to build up to a monthly events. They're on Fight TV in regards to.
I like it set up. I really do. Really professional.
It's an impressive setup, impressive production levels. Definitely would call it home, because without UKW, all of the other spots that I wrestle for, you know, I may not be wrestling, for them, if that makes sense. In regards to UKW as well, because you've got like 5 opportunities for me per month to try new things, to try like things, the entrances like with the air horn and stuff like that. That came around by accident as well. It wasn't planned. There was an air horn on like a locker, one show, and I looked at it and I looked down. I looked at it and I looked down and I thought, how could I use that? That is the most annoying thing I've ever seen in my life. I looked at it and I looked down. I grabbed it and I pressed it whilst people were, practicing for their match.
Yeah.
And it was really loud. And I thought, snap, I'm in trouble here. The promoter came and gave me a slap on the wrist, playfully, but still, don't do that again. Whoops. Okay. Brought it out and obviously, pressed it. And I thought, by heck, this is loud. And I'm quite loud in my wrestling style anyway. So obviously, like in regards to like vocals, if I'm getting hurt or if I'm doing a move, I'd obviously like show with my vocals that I'm making some form of effort. And so obviously the air horn's a perfect accompaniment to the fact now that I've bought 2 more. So in regards to like home promotion, going back to that question, definitely it gives me the opportunity to try out things that might or might not work, and gives me the opportunity to watch it back as well. Because at the end of the day, if you speak to like other wrestlers, some of the other wrestlers from other promotions would say, we're waiting X, Y, and Z months for our footage. How are you going to know if you're getting better or worse if you don't have anything to watch back? Certain people are lucky because they get members of the audience that are their mates to record matches for them, which is great. So then at least then they can say, I can improve X, Y, and Z.
So they can analyze it,
Yeah, but certain people don't have that opportunity. So in regards to that program being shown on YouTube that gets 1,000 viewers, or if some episodes is far, far more. I rewatched an episode of Showdown that I was on, that 2,500 viewers. This is a show that if you're in the local area, if you pay £1, you can go and watch in the front row. So at the end of the day, it's definitely my home promotion. There's another story behind it. I walked away from wrestling a couple of years ago. If it wasn't for UKW, if it wasn't for the owners of Blackheart, who never want to be like, glorified or named, so to speak. But if it wasn't for those 2 people, I wouldn't have wrestled. But my directives changed for wrestling. I'm not doing it for myself. I'm definitely not doing it for myself. But was after I won a title at the walked away. I won the Around the Clock title. I think it was in February of this year, which is like the UKW's equivalent of the 24/7 title. That was my one aim, to win a title in British wrestling. It doesn't matter if it's the biggest title. I was a tag team holder as well, so I was carrying 2 belts in February, in my infancy of my career. I've only been in, I'd say, only about 5 months I wrestled pre-COVID, but I only wrestled like 2 or 3 matches, so don't really count that. Like obviously, when I returned, it was like what I called like my start from scratch tour. So day one, me go about my business and that. But yeah, if this was for me, I'd have walked as soon as I, lost those 2 titles, because I'd won 2 titles. That was my aim. Off to the sunset I go.
Hello there. I've got a special announcement from our next guest.
I am Adam Lowe's, the Cosmic Killer, and very soon I'll be appearing on the What Do You Call It podcast.
You heard.
What it was is I won 2 titles. I lost them, and at the end of the day, if I said, if I was doing this for myself, I'd be like, oh, I've done what I wanted to do in wrestling. That's it. I'm done, type of thing. Let me go and live my life. But as I said before, in regards to like the environment that I'm working in regards to like British wrestling, in regards to UKW and any other promotions that I'm working in, it's a lovely environment. There's no politics or anything like that. So, as long as it stays stress-free, and as long as I can maintain a standard that I'm happy with in regards to wrestling, as long as I can do the moves that suit me and suit my style, and stay as injury free as possible from here on in. Obviously, I should be around for at least another couple of years, if that makes sense.
I mean, like you said, like about your age. I mean, DDP, he's proved it. Batista got it to quite late as well. Boogeyman, he got into like 40. So
yeah, it was mad.
I remember him tough enough. Obviously, they hired him, and then they found his age. And I mean, have you seen him now? He's still like it's like wow, what he has ridiculous. I want to go back to what you said about match of the day. I think you know what I'm leaning towards. Yeah. Who do you support? And can I assume it's Tottenham? Well, JPR was well alright.
Is a so obviously you revert back to 1995. I'm 8 years old. Mm-hmm. Everybody supports Arsenal, Spurs, or Manchester United. So I'm 8 years old, and I'm trying to find out who I want to support. To the fact where my dad even bought me a Jurgen Klinsmann kit, the Spurs purple kit, Helwet and Pepper, and I was like, I don't know about that. I think I'd already made up my mind. I was a Newcastle fan. And then obviously Newcastle beat Man United 5-0, and I was like, oh, now I'm set. I know my allegiance, and it's black and white. So obviously when my dad bought me the Tottenham purple kit, I was like, I'm not going to wear that because I'm
you had toilet roll then, mate. Sorry, I'm an Arsenal fan. So.
But this is going to be a nice factor for you. My son, his name's Alexis. The reason why his name Alexis is because of Alexis Sanchez, and that's a fact as well. I was streaming through names of like footballers that I liked, and I wanted David, obviously because of David Ginola. A few more names like Fernando, but they all got nixed. But then we did an Alexis, and the name stuck. And yeah, so in regards, if I wasn't a Newcastle fan, I might have been an Arsenal fan.
I'll let you off because I'm Newcastle. To be honest, I've got like a few good mates. Genuinely love Newcastle, and there's no real rivalry between Newcastle and Arsenal. There's always good games between them. I mean, we always bet the team, but just saying. And obviously, your times have changed. The Steve Bruce era is over. Eddie Howe.
I still think you guys have spent big this year. I don't think it's gonna stop you guys. I've got a hell of a lot of mates who are Arsenal fans. I've been to the Emirates more than any other football stadium as well, because of obviously the affiliation that when the Emirates first opened, they had Brazil. So most of the Brazil matches at the Emirates, I was there. I think a lot of people are saying that you guys need a right winger. It all depends on if Pepe can finally turn up. If not, definitely a right winger is I think the only priority now. I think
now
you
we've
guys
got
are
a striker. We've got Jesus.
Yeah.
We've got
Yeah.
Saliba back on loan. It's like a new signing. We've got Shinchenko,
Yeah.
who's going to be officially announced hopefully by the end of the week. I'm very happy about that. You know, from Man City to us, and he's won Premier League already. Versatile. He's quick. He's good. You know, he's good at tackling. I'm very, very happy with that. I mean, Tierney, I like him, but he's injury prone. That is the only downfall to his game, in my opinion.
Yeah. Tierney's made out of biscuits, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So in regards to Zinchenko, when Tierney can play, you can play Zinchenko in central midfield.
Yep.
He started his career at City as a winger. So as you said, he's very, very versatile, and you know he can fill in for Xhaka if Xhaka gets suspended, which is almost inevitable.
It's gonna happen. I'll give it 5 games.
5 games, 5 yellow cards.
Yeah, it's gonna happen, man. Like the thing about Xhaka, we're pretty much kind of stuck with him because the whole party thing. I don't know how true it is. I'm not gonna say anything. So it's all alleged at the moment, but you know, it's circulating around what's happened and why he may not play for the whole season. So Xhaka kind of has to stay at the moment. Which, if he plays like he did near the end of the season, fine. Cool, he can stay. He was excellent last second half season. I thought he's one of the best players in my opinion, and I'm very critical of him. But I think we're going for top 4, top 3, maybe in my opinion. I think Spurs bought well, Newcastle. I think not quite there yet. In my opinion, I think you're going to go for top 8 though.
I think top 8 will be a much more realistic proposition for us. As much as we've improved, we were riding last season at the start of last season anyway with a championship team. So in regards to where Eddie Howe's finished with 4 signings, some of which, you know, didn't play, I think where we finished last season was a great achievement. From this season, if we reach top 8, top 9, that's fine.
I do think you are going to be fighting top 8. I think if I had to sort of bet, like maybe mid-table, but I think you'll finish higher than you did last season. That's certain. It's going to happen. I think a lot of teams will struggle. A lot of people are saying Brighton are going to go down. And I'm quite shocked by that.
I'll throw in another team. I reckon Everton are finished.
Oh, they're going to struggle. They are. I think, Lampard kept them up barely. They've just lost their best player, Richarlison, and they've not made any real big signings. And I think they're not attracting any big signings either. I think I like Lampard's player, but as a manager, I just think he's well up his depth, in my opinion. Absolutely
shocking. And they're looking at people like Morgan Gibbs-White from Wolves. That's not the type of player that you want to replace somebody like Richarlison with, if that makes sense.
And if they lose Dominic Calvert-Lewin as well, which I think they are fucked.
Yeah, they are absolutely screwed. I think if you want to make any type of money, I think the combination of putting Everton to go down and Lampard out as first manager, that should be a double, because at the end of the day, I think both will happen. It's just a matter of when Lampard's going to get sacked. I could be proved
wrong. He will not make the end of the year. He will not see next year as Everton manager. I'm sorry, but he's getting the sack. You know, they're like their turnovers a little bit. I mean, there's only so much patience they can have, and there's only so many these he can do and cheer the team up and stuff. But in terms of the quality that he has, mate, that is shocking. It's so bad.
It's I think their time's up. I think they've bought horribly for years. And when I say years, 2, 3, 4 years. And they've got lucky because there've been worse teams around them. But this time around, I think I read that just before this podcast started that Jesse Lingard is
not in the Forest. Yeah, it's because West Ham can't afford to pay. Well, they don't want to pay 180,000 a week for him, and I understand why. You think he'd be grateful to want to stay, or at least have his wages cut lower for the club that gave him the opportunity on loan, where he shined. But it's just like, nah, I want more money, and it's kind of made me think a little bit less of him, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't. It might pay off for Notts Forest. It's a bold strategy because usually when teams get promoted, the first season they kind of like skirt around.
You don't really know, do you? It's like, I think this season as well, I think Brentford are going to struggle. I think they're going to, because they've lost Ericsson, who made a real big difference to them end of last season. Ivan Toney, I think he's on his way out, and I like him. He's now that we've got Gabriel Jesus, we don't necessarily need him, but if we hadn't got Jesus, I would have gone for Ivan Toney all day. Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, at the end of the day, it all hinges on if you can get a striker, or if you can retain a striker that gives you 15 to 20 goals. If you can't find one, you're in trouble. especially
Yeah.
if you're somebody like Brentford, who, apart from Tony, didn't have any real goal scoring
No.
from last season. They had odds and sods from, various different players, but nobody that was really prominent, if that makes
I think
sense.
Southampton as well. I think their time might come. I think they might be on their way out. Maybe. I don't know. I think they might just scrape it, to be honest. I mean, Ward-Prowse is quality.
Yeah. They keep Ward-Prowse. They'll stay up in the Premiership. The day Ward-Prowse leaves is the day where, again...
I'm really surprised. Like, no one's really gone for him, man. But so I won't keep it all in the football talk, because I know got things to do as well. Sorry.
Yeah.
So
it's in regards to his range.
But I do wish Newcastle the best. I do think to wrap the football talk up, I think you'll finish mid-table. Arsenal, I think top 4. Really, I want to be ambitious, man. I think we're going to finish above Chelsea, and I think we're going to be fighting with Spurs like we did last season, but we did kind of throw it away. So that is my conclusion to the football talk. I've got one last question, kind of a fun question. I ask everyone this. You can make this rest related if you want to. You can make this anything you want. 3 guests for your dream dinner party. You're the host, dead or alive, fictional, whatever, historical. Bring Jesus if you want. You are the guest. You can, honestly, mate, you'd be surprised what people say. But you can pick 3 guests, whoever you want. You're the host. If you can give a reason as to why you want them at your meal, that would be awesome as well. Go.
Cool. Okay. Number 1, whoever made the Rebound That song, I'd like to find them. And find out why he didn't copyright his song, because it's the most iconic Grime song ever, and he's probably lost a hell of a lot of money. So I'd definitely like to find him, or her. It could be a her. Imagine if it was a her. Wow. It could be anyone. We don't know. Number 2, David Ginola. Obvious reasons why. I'd just like to thank him for making me support Newcastle United and have a lifetime full of mediocrity. Number 3, let me think. Number three. I'm racking my brain here, because it's probably the most important one. I've met him before, but Chris Jericho.
Nice.
I've met him for like 2 minutes. I watch a lot of Jericho. There's not a lot of Jericho in me, but there's a little bit, especially in regards to things like the Boston Crab. Some of the mannerisms when he chops, he makes a certain noise, and I kind of replicate that same noise. It's just to basically pick his brains. But yeah, no, definitely number 1 will be the guy who made the Rebound X song, because
David Ginola. Rebound X rhythm and cash instrumental, whoever made that song, and Chris Jericho. Fair. You have to get the rest in there.
Yeah.
I might have to upload this as a separate clip. Like,
you're not going to find a more random 3, but those are the 3. Those are my 3.
That's quality, man. And you've given a reason as well. That's brilliant, my man. JPR, I'm not even going to ask what JPR means, because I don't want to spoil it, the fun. Unless you want to tell me, but nah, don't. It's like when I found out wrestling wasn't real. That kind of.
I think you've got me on Facebook, so it's pretty. They are my initials. I was toying with the idea of bringing it out in regards to like a different spin.
Yeah.
So I had like a different strand of character, so to speak. But no, I think everybody knows my government name. I just don't really like my government name, which is why I put it as my initials.
No, that's fair, man. That's fair. No, that's fair. Yeah, I won't say mine. I had the podcast about mental health on Monday, and it's just like, yeah. So I'll do like, if there's anything you want to promote, yeah, add him on Facebook, like his actual Facebook. Like, no, don't fucking actually go out your way to add me on actual Facebook. Like, just follow the page. Don't fucking add me. Like,
follow the page, yeah.
No, man, that's been a quality episode. Genuinely laughed. I will probably upload that separate clip, but brilliant, man. Brilliant. Last question. What would you like to plug, and where can the fans and listeners find you on social media? That is it. Last question.
You plug my Twitter handle, which is great. My Instagram handle is Justin_Pierre_Robert, which kind of reveals what JPR stands for. Whoops.
Dun, dun,
Dun,
dun.
dun, dun, it's my name. Wow. In regards to other stuff, watch UKW if you want to see me.
Yeah.
But if you follow my Twitter handle, I usually am quite good in regards to like posting stuff that people need to see anyway. So it's, by all means, if you follow me on Twitter, you pretty much stay up to date with me and my life, including me struggling to go up the stairs recently, which was all fun and games.
She didn't really laugh, but she kind of made that funny. So I feel bad, but I don't.
I kind of make comedy out of my misfortune, so to speak. So it's kind of what I do.
It's going back to the intro, being positive about a bad situation, turn the negative into a positive. I love it, my man. But thank you for coming on. Been a blast. For everyone that's listened to this episode, thank you. There'll be more episodes of What You Call It podcast coming out this week. So stay tuned, subscribe, like, share, do what you can to support the page and the podcast itself. For everyone that's listened, enjoy your weekend, enjoy your week. Whenever you listen to this, just have a good day. And Rebound X, Rhythm Gash, instrumental, please listen to it if you haven't. Take care, everyone.
By all means, listen to that.
Hello there. I've got a special announcement for my next guest.
Hi, I'm the Walker of the Bazaar, Rico Wilding, and I am appearing on the What Do You Call It podcast.
Yeah, I heard.